Welcome to Subject Soup. You won't believe what Mexico is doing at the U.S. border. From shocking new policies to unexpected security measures, these changes are sending ripples across the world. Is this a game changer for immigration and border security? Let's break it all down. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into something absolutely wild happening right now at the U.S. Mexico border. You might think you've heard it all: migrants, border walls, political debates, but what Mexico is doing in 2025 is seriously next-level stuff. It's going to leave you speechless. We're breaking it all down for you: new policies shaking things up for migrants, Mexico's beefed-up border security strategies, how they're playing a massive role in controlling U.S. immigration, what the U.S. is doing about it, and what this all means for the future of border relations. Buckle up, this is going to be a ride. Let's get started. New policies affecting migrants, Mexico's game-changing moves. First up, let's talk about the new policies Mexico has rolled out that are totally reshaping the migrant experience. If you thought the border was chaotic before, Mexico's latest moves are flipping the script. Since early 2024, Mexico has been cracking down hard on migrants trying to make their way to the U.S. border. And when I say hard, I mean military-level hard. Picture this: Mexican troops, yes, actual soldiers, are patrolling the border like it's a war zone. Posts on X from March 2025 quote Border Patrol Chief Michael Banks saying, "Mexico is putting a lot of their troops on our southern border to prevent illegal immigration from even making it to the border." That's right, Mexico isn't just waiting for migrants to show up at the Rio Grande, they're stopping them way before that. But it's not just about troops. Mexico's government has been busing migrants, tens of thousands of them, back to southern cities like Tapachula, far away from the U.S. border. Imagine you're a migrant who's trekked hundreds of miles, only to get scooped up and dropped off right back where you started. It's brutal. In the first 8 months of 2024 alone, Mexico reported nearly 1 million migrant encounters, 925,085 to be exact, almost triple their 2022 numbers. That's according to a November 2024 report from WALA. They're not deporting everyone, though. Instead, they're pushing people to use the U.S.'s CBP One app to schedule appointments at official border crossings. It's like Mexico saying, hey, if you want to go north, do it the legal way, or don't bother. And here's the kicker: Mexico's bringing back a Trump-era policy in 2025 called the Migrant Protection Protocols, or MPP. Under this, non-Mexican migrants who try to cross into the U.S. and ask for asylum get sent back to Mexico to wait for their court dates. The Department of Homeland Security announced this in January 2025, and it's a huge shift. Migrants could be waiting in Mexico for weeks or months, stuck in border towns that aren't exactly vacation hotspots. This policy's been on again, off again since 2019, but now it's back with a vengeance. For migrants, it's a tough new reality: fewer chances to slip through and more hurdles to jump. Speechless yet? Just wait, it gets crazier. Border security strategies, Mexico's military muscle. Now, let's zoom in on Mexico's border security strategies because, wow, they're pulling out all the stops. Mexico's not messing around anymore, they've turned their side of the border into a fortress. Those troops I mentioned? They're not just standing around looking tough. On December 3, 2024, Reuters reported that Mexican military and state police detained over 5,200 migrants in a single day. That's more than some small towns' entire populations. Throughout 2024, they averaged 3,807 migrant events daily, way more than in previous years. This isn't a casual patrol, it's a full-on operation. Mexico's also setting up highway checkpoints and raiding smuggling routes. They're targeting the cartels and smugglers who profit off desperate migrants, and it's working. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security says Mexico's efforts, combined with their own, have disrupted thousands of smuggling operations. Think stash houses getting busted, tractor-trailers impounded, and smugglers' tech confiscated. It's like a real-life action movie. And get this, Mexico's National Migration Institute, their enforcement agency, got a 2025 budget 35 times bigger than their refugee agencies. That's a clear signal, security trumps everything else right now. But why the sudden muscle? Some say it's pressure from the U.S., especially with President Trump back in office in 2025 threatening tariffs if Mexico didn't step up. Posts on X from November 2024 show Trump hinting at slapping tariffs on Mexican goods, and by March 2025, Mexico's troop deployment was in full swing. Coincidence? I don't think so. Mexico's basically saying, we'll handle it ourselves before you make us pay. It's a wild strategy shift, and it's got everyone talking. Mexico's role in controlling U.S. immigration, the unsung gatekeeper. So, how big is Mexico's role in controlling U.S. immigration? Spoiler alert, it's massive. Mexico's basically become the U.S.'s unofficial gatekeeper, and the numbers prove it. Migrant encounters at the U.S. Mexico border dropped 75% from December 2023 to August 2024, according to Pew Research. From a record high of 249,741 encounters in December 2023, it plummeted to just 58,038 by August 2024. That's a jaw-dropping decline, and Mexico's crackdown is a huge reason why. Here's how it works. Mexico's stopping migrants before they even reach the U.S. border. Their troops and checkpoints are catching people in central Mexico, sometimes hundreds of miles south of Texas or Arizona. Then, they're either busing them back south or funneling them into legal pathways like CBP-1. The U.S. loves this because it means fewer people for Border Patrol to deal with. In fiscal year 2024, the U.S. saw gotaways, migrants who sneak past Border Patrol, drop by about 60%. That's huge. Mexico's doing the heavy lifting, and it's saving the U.S. a ton of headaches. But it's not all rosy. Mexico's also agreeing to take back non-Mexican deportees from the U.S., up to 30,000 a month from countries like Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. This started after the Title 42 policy ended in 2023, and it's still going strong in 2025, though at a slower pace. In October 2024, only 1,524 people from those countries crossed illegally, per WALA. Mexico's basically acting as a buffer zone, absorbing pressure that would otherwise hit the U.S. immigration system. It's a wild twist. Mexico's not just a transit country anymore, it's a key player in keeping U.S. borders tight. Mind blown yet? How the U.S. is responding, cheers and challenges. Okay, so how's the U.S. reacting to all this? In a word, they're thrilled, but it's complicated. The U.S. Border Patrol Chief Michael Banks couldn't stop gushing about Mexico's efforts in March 2025. He called it a whole-of-government approach, with Mexico's troops, Texas National Guard, and U.S. Department of Defense all teaming up. Posts on X from Trump War Room and others highlight this as a huge win for the new administration. Trump's tariffs threat clearly lit a fire under Mexico, and the U.S. is reaping the rewards. The U.S. is also doubling down on its own policies to match Mexico's intensity. In January 2025, President Biden's proclamation limiting asylum got a Trump-era makeover, banning most illegal crossings and fast-tracking deportations. CBS News reported Border Patrol agents are now deporting migrants without even letting them request asylum, straight-up biometric scans and out they go. Non-Mexicans? Detained until they're shipped back, often to Mexico. It's harsh, and it's leaning on Mexico to handle the fallout. But here's the catch, not everyone's cheering. Migrant rights groups are furious, saying the U.S. and Mexico are choking off legal pathways. The ACLU even filed a motion against the U.S. asylum ban, pointing out that CBP-1 appointments got axed in 2025, leaving migrants with no safe options. The U.S. is loving Mexico's help, but it's also pushing the limits of what's legal under immigration law. It's a high-stakes dance, and the U.S. is betting big on Mexico keeping the pressure on. What this means for the future of border relations, a new era. Finally, let's talk about the future of U.S. Mexico. Border relations. What Mexico is doing right now is setting the stage for something totally new, and maybe a little scary. On one hand, this teamwork could strengthen ties. The U.S. and Mexico are closer than ever on security, with joint efforts against smuggling and drugs ramping up. The Department of Homeland Security's 2025 updates show they've arrested over 18,000 smugglers region-wide. That's a win-win, right? But there's tension brewing. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum pushed back on Trump's tariff threats in late 2024, showing she's not afraid to flex some muscle. If the U.S. keeps leaning on Mexico to be its border bouncer, will Mexico demand more in return, like trade perks or immigration reforms? WALA's December 2024 update suggests Mexico's leverage is growing, especially since they're already doing so much. The 2025 budget cuts to Mexico's refugee agency, COMER, also hint they're prioritizing enforcement over humanitarian aid. Could that spark a backlash? For migrants, the future looks tougher. With MPP back and both countries cracking down, the border might stay quiet like it is now. Border Patrol apprehensions are lower than during Trump's first term, per WALA. But if root causes like poverty and violence in Central America don't get fixed, this could just be a temporary lull. Long-term, we might see a more militarized border, with Mexico and the U.S. locked in a high-stakes partnership. It's wild to think about, a border where troops and tech rule the day. Speechless? I sure am. And there you have it, folks. Mexico's moves at the U.S. border are shaking things up in ways we've never seen before. From troop patrols to migrant buses, they're rewriting the rules. I'll see you there. Until next time, stay curious. If you've been enjoying the content and finding it helpful or interesting, I'd love to have you join our community by subscribing to the channel. It's completely free and helps the channel grow so I can keep bringing you even more awesome content. No pressure, but your support means the world to me. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you.